Okay, so here's the help video for Unit 2B quiz, and this is for those that want to make corrections and resubmit for a better grade. So if you made less than an A and you want to make an A, you're able to make corrections. So I'm not going to give you the answers because I do want you to work these out on your own, but I'm going to kind of guide you through to help you get started. So questions 1, 2, and 3 are pretty straightforward. But we see we have 50 equals 2x minus 12. My goal is to solve, and I do that by isolating x. And so to get rid of, so I have two x's, but what's hanging out with my x's is a positive 12, so I need to subtract 12 from both sides. And then once I get my answer, then I'm going to have 2x equals some number, and then I need to get rid of my 2x. So I'm going to divide both sides. Once I have that number, divide both sides by 2, and that's going to get me x equals my answer. Question 2, very similar. So I have negative 3x plus 8 equals 11. Need to isolate x. So I have a positive 8, so I need to subtract 8 from both sides. That's going to leave me a negative 3x equals some number. And then I need to divide both sides by 3. And then once I've done that, that's going to give me negative x equals some number. I can't have a negative x though, so I'm going to have to do the opposite. So flip my x, so opposite of negative x will be x. Flip my equal sign, which is still going to be equals. And then the opposite of whatever my number is going to be the answer here. Question 3. So 15x plus 60 is less than 240. So I have a positive 60. I need to subtract 60 from both sides. Once I've done that, I'll have 15x is less than some number, and then I will need to divide both sides by 15, and that's going to give me x is less than some number. For number 4, it says, write an expression to represent the perimeter of the figure below. And so I know since this is a rectangle, or it appears to be, we're going to assume that it is. So if this side is x plus 2, this side will be x plus 2. This side is 2x minus 3. This will be 2x minus 3. And the perimeter is simply my measurement of my distance around the figure. So if I started here and walked down here, walked across, walked up, walked back, what I'll have is x plus 2 plus 2x minus 3 plus x plus 2 plus 2x minus 3. And so from here, if you put this as your answer, I don't think I counted points off of anybody for doing that. But what I really wanted to see was we combine like terms. And so I have an x, 2x, an x, and 2x. And so that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6x. And then now my constants. I have a plus 2, a minus 3, a plus 2, and a minus 3. So that gives me a plus 2 and a plus 2. That's going to be 4 pirates rather. And then a minus 3 and a minus 3 gives me 6 ninjas. So if I have 6 ninjas and I have 4 pirates, my ninjas are going to win by 2. So I'm going to end up with 6x minus 2 is going to be my expression. And so some solved it somehow. I'm not sure how because they never gave us what the total perimeter is. So we were just looking for an expression, not an equation. We do not need an equal sign, and so we are done. Number 5, a plumber charges $55 for a service call plus $35 an hour. The plumber's bill was $160. How many hours was he there? So I know my answer is going to be something hours. And so we know that he charges $55 for the service call plus $35 per hour. So $35 times how many hours? And then the total bill was $160. So we've set it up. Now we just need to go through our normal process of isolating our variable and then solving. All right, question 6. The perimeter of an equilateral triangle is 63 inches. And each side is 4x plus 3. So I have 4x plus 3. I need to know the value of x. So I have 4x plus 3, another 4x plus 3, another 4x plus 3, and that equals 63. So I could do 4x plus 3 plus 4x plus 3 plus 4x plus 3 equals 63. Or if you wanted to do 4x plus 3 times 3 and then do equals 63, that works as well. But if you do that, just know that the 4x plus 3 times 3, my distributive property, so I'm getting, so using what we talked about with going to Ermin's Burger, I'm going to get 3 number 1 combos. That's 3 burgers and 3 fries. So 3 times 4x would be 12x. And then 3 times 3 is 9. And so I would have this equals 63. And so either way, if we simplify that by combining like terms, or if you did it this way. So from here, you need to isolate x and then solve, and then you'll get the final answer. Question 7, I really dislike this question. I know I worked it out in first period and expressed how much I disliked it, and I didn't work it out in the other class periods and just said we're throwing it out. But if you're really interested in it, here's how to do it. And so we have a home improvement.
Teachers, at this time, please take your attendance.
I apologize for that. A home improvement store advertises 60 square feet of flooring for $287, which includes an $80 installation fee. We need to write an equation that represents the cost of 1 square foot of flooring. So I know it's 60 square feet of flooring, and so I need to know how much is 1 square foot. So I'll say 60s, and then it includes that installation fee, so I need to subtract that installation fee out. And then I know that the total cost is $287. And so from there, isolate my variable, get rid of the 80 first, and then divide both sides by 60. Again, I didn't like that question, but if you want to do it, that's how. The next one, number 8, says if x is -1, which of the following equations makes a true statement? So here all we're doing is we're substituting -1 wherever we see x. So just substitute -1 in for x and then see if both sides are equal, and that's going to give you your right answer. Questions 9 and 10, basically the same as what we were doing before. We just need to isolate our variable first. So here I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. That's going to give me x over 8, or 1/8 times x, equals some number. And then I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal, which is 8 over 1. And then once I do that, I'll get x equals my answer. And then number 10, same thing. I need to add 10 to both sides. That's going to give me -3x equals some number. Divide both sides by 3. That's going to give me my -x. And so then I need to flip everything. So flip the x, flip the equal sign, which remains equal. And then from there, flip my answer, and that's going to get me my final answer for this equation. Question 11, 12, and 13 are all very similar as well. So question 11, I need to add 8 to both sides. And then once I've done that, that's going to get me my inequality. And so I'll have some number is greater than x. 12. 5x minus 9 equals 65. We already know how to do that. That's kind of the same thing we've been doing. And then the same here. So I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. I'll have -3x is less than some number. And the main thing to realize here is after I divide both sides by 3, I end up with a -x. So when I flip my x, I also flip my sign, and then I flip my last number. So 14, 15, and 16, I don't think anybody, if I recall, got 16 wrong. A few people got 14 and 15 wrong, so it's pretty easy to figure out. It's not going to be B or C, so it should be pretty easy to figure out what's what. But the main idea is you're going to solve the equation. Once you solve the equation, if you end up with a -5, then this is going to be your graph. If you end up with a -3.5, that's going to be your graph. If you end up with a -2, this is going to be your graph. But also check, use your test values, make sure that it works, whether you need a closed circle or an open circle. Question 17. So a Suburban is rented for a school field trip. The rental is $85 a day plus $220 for insurance. How many days can the van be rented? If they want to spend less than or equal to, so we changed it to less than or equal to $560. And so we need to write and solve the inequality. So I have my van rental is $85 per day, and they are going to charge us $220 for insurance, and that's less than or equal to $560. And so once we've done that, we'll subtract 220 from both sides and then isolate the or simplify the D, so we have just 1 day instead of $85 per day. And then once we've done that, we'll find out how many days we have. And so we'll have days is less than or equal to, and then some number, right? And then we need to know that that's going to be days. So label your answer as well. Number 18, Emily is encouraged to read more than 4 hours each week. It takes her 45 minutes to finish the first book. She divides the remainder of the time equally among the other 6 days. What is the minimum number of minutes she should read each day? And so 45 plus 6, let's see. So number of minutes, we'll call it M, 6M, and it has to be so more than 4 hours each week. Minimum number she should read. So it's going to be more than, that's greater than, and then 240. And so once we do that, we'll solve it, and we'll get that M is greater than some number, and that's in minutes. Question 19, almost done. So question 19, we're just going to solve our inequality. Notice we have a -x. So at the end, we're going to have opposite x, flip our sign, and then flip our number as well. So opposite of our number, we need to know if that's an open circle or closed circle, use some test values, and see which way to graph it. And then the last one, question 20, 16 is greater than or equal to 6 plus x over 2, so subtract 6 from both sides. And then from there, we need to multiply by the reciprocal, so multiply by 2 over 1 on both sides. And that's going to get me the answer that I need. I'll have x is less than or equal to some number, and then, or some number is greater than or equal to x, either way. And then plot that number, figure out if it's an open or closed circle, use my test values, shade the graph, which direction it's going to go, and hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, please let me know, and that should be good enough for corrections for Unit 2B.